It is now 7:08. Let the record show that the board reconvened at 7:08. And quick announcement, we didn't finish our work in closed session. We will go back to closed session after open session. With that in mind, tonight we have a full-scale school board meeting. But let's first start the meeting off with the Pledge of Allegiance by Ayala, who is not related to me, our ASB senior class president from Eisenhower High School.
Thank you, Uncle Ayala. No, I'm just kidding. Can you put your right hand over your heart? Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may now be seated.
Nice job, Gio. Nephew. Next, we have a report out of closed session.
Board is going to reconvene back to closed session. Nothing to report at this time.
Are we going to report out after that? Thank you. Yeah.
I believe we'll report out after our, when,
That's correct. After we reconvene back to closed session, the board will come back in open session, and we'll report back to the decisions, if any, made in the closed session.
and do we have any comments at this time, Mr. Islam?
Yes, I do. I have Ron Fletcher from CWA Negotiations. He'd like to speak on the item on the agenda.
Good evening, Board. My name is Ron Fletcher. I live 2769 Akron. I represent the substitute teachers, and I merely wanted to say that the way that it was posted in agenda for us to have our reopener kind of looked kind of bad, but I had talked to Felix Avila a couple months back about a reopener, and he had turned me down because in our contract it said February. Well, our contract was not signed until April 29th. That's the reason for the late reopener. The other thing I'd like to suggest is that you guys have and put on the agenda a thing where these unions can come up and speak for 3 minutes, and then that way the board would be aware of some of the things that are bothering the union members. Otherwise, I'm perfectly happy with this board. It's been doing a great job. Thank you.
The next person is Lizette Mendoza. She's going to speak on item not on agenda.
Hi, good evening. My name is Lisette Mendoza, and I've actually had the honor and privilege of working with some of the people in this room, whether they're teachers, janitors, parents, and board members themselves. I wanted to talk about an item that we kind of brought up. I think it was on the agenda. I wasn't here present for that a few months ago, back in April or May. At the time, I was working for Rialto High School and as an instructional aide, and thankfully, a year later after I graduate from college, I finally found my first real job. So I'm not currently working for Rialto Unified School District. It was hard to leave, but hopefully one day I get to come back as a teacher. But at the moment, I'm just working on a few projects, and I've had the great deed of working with the Parent Center at Rialto High School and continue to build relationships throughout the Rialto Unified School District. Mr. Joseph Ayala, Mr. Edgar Montes, and somebody else in the school district, I forget his name, Mark Blind, were able to help us put together our first deferred action clinic and Mr. Garza, who's in the back of the room, was really helpful, along with the community of parents and other students, helped us put together our DACA clinic. For those of you who don't know DACA, it helps undocumented youth, immigrant youth in our state, in our nation, apply for this this program so that they can get a license, a deferral from deportation for 2 years, and also, license, and a social security number. We are made up of a district that's a constituents of undocumented youth along with their undocumented families, and so we decided to bring the service up to the table, and it was successful. I believe we helped about 80 to 100 youth. I don't know if all 80 or 100 applied yet. We're still trying to follow up with the Inland Empire Immigrant Youth Coalition. We're in the works of doing a follow-up because by now we assume that most of them have applied. So I actually got to email or speak to Miss McGyver Brown, and I'm hoping to plan like a parent workshop series so we can help them also help their students get into the universities, into a community college and so on, because those resources are also not available. A lot of this undocumented youth are our top 10% or top 5%, and sometimes they don't even go to a college of their choice for the lack of money and resources. So we want to bring that out to this community, whether you're for immigration or against immigration. It's a reality that we live in, and so we really definitely have to address it. I worked at Rialto High School, like I said, and a lot of my students, whether they were in the resource specialist program or in the SDC program, or just AVID students or in general students that I knew were undocumented. And so I thought this is, on the side I was involved with this group, why not bring this service here? So we hope to continue to bring this, and we hope to continue to work together. And I thank you for letting me speak today, and hopefully you guys will continue to support us. Thank you.
Anybody else?
That's all, Board.
Okay. So we don't have anybody else speaking even on the agenda.
None.
Okay. Next, we have presentations, and our presenter, our board clerk, Joseph W. Martinez, will make a presentation, Key to the District.
President Ayala. Good evening, everyone. It's good to see a full house. Although it's been said before, there are seeds of greatness in all of us, and I know this to be true. Sometimes we have a chance encounter with a person whom we know is worthy of a special recognition. With this being said, I'd like to give my key to the district to a 25-year Rialto Unified School District veteran, Mrs. Kelly Valencia. Kelly, will you please come up? Would you like to introduce us to your family and invite your principal up? Bring him up, bring him up.
My oldest son, Raul. My husband, Raul, back there. And my youngest son, Jack. And my wonderful principal, Mrs. Thomas. Okay, you're good.
Thank you all for coming up to help us recognize Miss Valencia here. This symbolic gesture of giving Kelly the key to the district acknowledges her outstanding contributions as a classified employee, active parent leader, and a devoted civic leader. Long after her children have left the district, Kelly remains. She continues as a role model who truly embodies commitment, service, and unconditional volunteerism. Kelly Valencia was born in the city of Upland and grew up in the city of Chino. She graduated from Chino High School in 1970 and married Raul Valencia in 1978. In 1987, the couple moved to Rialto to start a family. And 1 year later, Kelly began working as a noon duty aide at Trapp Elementary School. She says, "I was volunteering so much at the time our family was growing," recalled Kelly. "The leader who inspired me to start working at the district was Miss Robin Baez, former RUSD administrator. She was the principal of Trapp at the time. Just a wonderful person. Robin told me that since I am always doing something for the schools," and she continues, "I might as well apply for a job and get paid for it." And Kelly did. And those who do volunteer should also. They should apply. After working at Trapp Elementary School, Kelly followed Mrs. Violet. Yes, I'll get over-caffeinated. Miss Baez to open Fitzgerald Elementary in food services and then as a health clerk. She was an instructional aide for special needs students at Myler High School and also for SDC students at Morgan Elementary, before transferring to Casera Middle School as a locker room attendant. After 25 years of service to the district, Kelly said her passion stays strong. I love this district and my job. We are in a people-oriented business, and that's what has always attracted me to work at our schools. We're still one of the best here. And we are. Raising three sons, Raul II, Darnell, and Jack, all the Valencia boys played sports, mostly football and baseball, and graduated from Eisenhower High School. If raising three sons, taking care of family, and working at various school sites wasn't enough, Kelly also served in the capacity of PTA president, vice president, and secretary at Trapp, Fitzgerald, and Coursera. At Eisenhower High School, she was a gridiron leader for Ike's football team from 1998 through 2006, under Ike's highly recognized football coach, Tom Hoek. And she began the Ike Home Run Club for baseball coach Bob Clarendon. I learned so much from both the coaches, smiled Kelly. Coach Clarendon was a class act. He would often take money out of his pocket to constantly help, and never did that man ever complain. He was generous and respectful to everyone. I admire him immensely. Kelly was also quick to point out, I must thank my sisters from another mother, Tony Gonzalez and Mary Martinez, who stuck by me through the years to make life better for Rialto kids. They were always there helping. Kelly served as president of the Rialto Exchange Club, where she was featured as a hometown hero. In one of the Sun newspaper articles, Rialto Record hailed her as a top Latina in motion for a 16th of September special. She was a 2012 District Employee of the Quarter, and miraculously, and not surprisingly, she continues to stay active and helpful in the life of students and staff. Although, when I first announced that Kelly would be receiving my key to the district, she bluntly said, "Are you sure you have the right Kelly?" Yes, yes. Well, Kelly, I know I do. Monique Conway, principal of Casera Middle School, also thinks so. Ms. Conway said, "It is quite an accomplishment to earn the highest recognition from our school board and is indicative of one who significantly personifies the highest standard of service and character. Today is a day that we can all reflect on our own contributions and think about this famous quote by Dr. Martin Luther King. We can all be great because we can serve." As employees of Rialto Unified School District, we do our best and are truly grateful when someone like Kathleen Kelly Valencia goes above and beyond the norm of her daily responsibilities and is then recognized amongst her peers. We are proud of her success. Kelly, please accept this key to the district, and thank you not only for being a model employee, but a model person in the life of many students.
Okay, I was told not to cry, so I'm not going to cry. But I'd like to thank Mr. Martinez, first of all, and our school board. As it's been said before, we wouldn't be here if we didn't care. And I love my job. I love being with the students. I love my principals. And I've been on different school sites, and I've had the pleasure of not only working with great administrators, staff, and most of all the students. I thank my family here because whether they wanted to volunteer or not, they were with me since day one. Miss O'Kelly knows that because Miss O'Kelly has been with us through Boy Scouts, PTA, the whole 9 yards, and Mr. Malone, Mr. McStay. We have coaches here that have been with my family, and Rialto is my family. So I thank everyone. And one person that was not mentioned is my other sister, Miss Maria Marty, who helps out through the school district also. So thank you very much. This one belongs to all of us. Thank you. Congratulations. Big reach here.
District, congratulations. Terrific presentation by Clerk Martinez. Next, we have a District Assistance Intervention Team, and the presentation is by our Director, Dr. Linda Gonzalez.
Are we moving? Is there a PowerPoint or
Yes, there is a PowerPoint. Good evening. My name is Linda Gonzalez.
we move?
I can probably just move this way.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I can see from back here.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the Board of Education. As you know, the requirement for the local educational agency is that on an annual basis, the school district make a report on the progress of the local education plan, which is the plan that guides the academic part of the school district, especially that as it relates to categorical programs. And in this particular case, it relates to being in program improvement. Rialto Unified School District has been in program improvement since 2004-05. The district entered into a district assistance intervention team in 2008. And the current local education plan is in effect since August of 2011. And every year, this report is made to the public and to the Board of Education to determine if there is continuous improvement. And what we're looking for is we're looking for high leverage action items. In the case of the State Board of Education, they're looking to see that there is a full implementation of a new curriculum. In this case, it's mathematics. It also applies to English learners. And they're looking to see if there has been achievement changes for children, professional development for teachers based on scientific research. And the goal for Rialto Unified School District is to ensure that all learners learn, but most specifically also to ensure that English learners and students with disabilities have full access to the core curriculum, especially in reading and language arts. In addition to that, another responsibility was to train the district and site administrators as well as teachers and to provide the assistance to those people in the system that need additional support. There are 5 goals that the state of California requires of every school district. The first one is that all students reach high academic standards in reading, language arts, and math by 2013-14. There's state standards for all of those areas. And those are measured primarily by the Academic Program Performance Index, otherwise known as API, and the Adequate Yearly Progress Report, otherwise known as AYP. So when we look at the data for this particular piece, what we're looking mainly for is that is there alignment between goal 1, which is to raise student achievement, and is that working toward a data-driven, standards-based professional development and instructional program. And right now, as I'm going to show you in just a minute, what's happening is there's a certain amount of flatlining that's occurring for the district. So the movement in the last 3 years has been from 745 to 751 on the API. But there hasn't really been a lot of progress over the last 3 to 4 years. So that becomes really important for the school board to realize that we need to rekindle some of this academic issue so that we're able to make sure that kids are making progress. This slide clearly shows it. You can see across here that there was growth going. When we reached over the last 3 or 4 years, we have had some stagnation, so about only 7 points of growth. So that becomes, although it's making the target, it becomes important for the school district to really take a consideration. One thing when I looked at this, one thing that would be a very simple thing to do, or a very simple thing would be to look at kindergarten, full-day kindergarten. Rialto schools only go to school half-day kindergarten. Most schools go to school full-day kindergarten. So that might be one of the things the board wants to take into consideration, because everything starts in kindergarten. And as we look at that, you can see school-wide, Casey, Warner, Fitzgerald, Dallahan, Curtis, Trapp, J. Hugh, and Carter made their targets. We did have some movement, but you can see really Myler, which is a very small school, Rialto High School recovered, but you'll recall on the board that they dropped a few years ago, so that was recovery. Fitzgerald did come up pretty well. Kolb is the one consistency that there has been growth across the board. Meyer, again, this is a zigzag pattern that we're seeing. Casey, again, another zigzag pattern. Jehu, up from a drop, and then Werner, a consistent movement upward, and then Curtis, a little bit up again, and then we have small incremental growth at the high schools. So this would be, again, cause to look at what more could be done to ensure that students are making better progress. We have only these schools, Garcia, Kolb, Meyer, Rialto, Cardiac, Simpson, and Myler, making the full targets for API. So that becomes just something to look at. We look at another data point. As you look at AYP, you can see over here that AYP has actually dropped in mathematics, which was the strong suit, and that's, by the way, also the area that's under scrutiny. And then you can see also here in language arts, we have flatlining occurring. So again, it's important to take a look at that. So we broke that down for every grade level, and you can see it's somewhat anemic. So over a 5-year period, we actually only have 3 points growth for second grade, 2 for third, and so on. So you can see across the grade levels that the growth is somewhat anemic. Thus, again, the recommendation of looking at potentially full-day kindergarten intervention early and refocusing the priority, again, looking at education of what's happened that would cause the stall. When you look here at 6 through 8, there's, again, you see the 47, 47. Again, we're just looking at a flatlining of that. There's a little growth here at 9th grade, but that is really about all we can talk about in terms of the achievement of the students. This is mathematics. Again, a little better, but anemic growth, single digits, because the gains are over a 5-year period of time. Some improvements here, but this is only 9 points of gain. Again, over 5 years, which represents 2, the state's looking for 10. So this would be cause, I think, for the district to maybe refocus the priority of looking at how we rekindle some of that academic work in the schools. You can see that in the area of mathematics, I know that at the direction of Dr. Levine, we've done a lot of work in the area of 8th grade mathematics, and I think this is going to be somewhat of a turnaround, but you're still seeing that anemic growth. This is algebra. 9 points growth over a 5-year period is not going to help us. If you look at algebra over time, meaning kids that took it in 9th grade, 10th grade, and 11th grade, we see some gains, but they're very, very modest. So these are some things to think about reprioritization of what the goals are and how we're going to rekindle the academic pieces for the school district. When we look at the area of now I've got some good news, I think. In the area of English learners, we see some modest growth. And again, that was part of putting together the coaches and TOSAs that are working there. But when we look again at the CELT AMAOs, only 6 elementary schools made full targets, and only 2 secondary schools made full targets, although the district did make the 2 targets, which is a good thing. When we look again at English learners, we see modest growth, not a sufficient kickstart to really close the academic gap for the students that are there. Again, this is those English learner students again. You see the dip that occurred for the general population also occurred for our English learners. So just cause for some concern. Because I do work with schools in the district, I've looked at 3rd graders. And for example, when you look at 3rd graders, and why is that important? Because if 3rd graders are not on grade level, they have a 75% chance of life failure, a 90% chance of dropping out of high school. We had in the schools I'm working with, 250 kids that were of 6 schools that were 3 or more years below grade level. So it's cause to pause and take a look. When we look again at that English learner gap for English language arts, we're seeing that it's really both the English learner system and the ELA system, even though there's been this growth. Now, here's some good news in the human resources side of the house, which is our goal 3. All the teachers in Rialto are highly qualified and those targets were met. So that's, again, we have to look at which of the targets were met and which were not. That's a very good thing. When we look at the next target, which is providing safe, drug-free schools, that target was met. So that's an important goal also for the community to meet. And then the final goal, I think, which is very important, is the graduation rate goal. And this has been a massive amount of data cleanup that I'm aware of over the last few years. And it's very good that all subgroups met this target. So when we look at this, we have 3 of 5 goals. My biggest concern, again, is that we see this stalling or stopping. So I would really encourage you to look at potentially full-day kindergarten, increasing intervention as early as possible, and refocusing again on that issue of what are we doing about our academics and how can we rekindle some of those things that have been going on so well in Rialto. I think one of the really promising practices is something that Robin MacGyver-Brown is doing with regard to the consistency of the single plans for student achievement. So I would really again urge the board to take a look at the data for individual schools in clusters to see if the assessments among the school sites are showing growth, because it might individually there may be some differences also. But there again, we're getting ready to go into new standards. We're going to be moving into Common Core. We're going to be moving into new assessments. So there really isn't a better time than for you to really take a close look at this effort, because it really truly is stalled. I will be so happy to answer any questions. Yes.
I'm really concerned about this flatlining because we haven't met the goals set by the state. We're not getting closer, which means our students are not achieving at the rate that is expected.
Mm-hmm.
What do you attribute this to in Rialto? I mean,
I think that the severity is the stalling, but I think really refocusing and making sure that education is a big, instruction is a big priority. I'd say education, of course, it's a priority of the institution, but really making sure that instruction, or like what we're here for, is we're here for children to learn. I really am adamant about reading by 9 because I know all of the data about how important that is for children, especially children that I call fragile, children like me who are English learners. I mean, this it potentially becomes a real problem for them.
right. So how can we help our kids? I mean, what can we do?
And that's why I thought it's just a real simple thing. You have the classrooms, you have the teachers, they're already working full day. Full day kindergarten would be a huge thing. I mean, I think that'd be huge for your kids. You can survey districts around you, but most people do full day kindergarten. And that would be something I think when we're looking at in light of foster children or services of class size and things like that, might be something very simple to do. and feasible economically. I'm not sure about your negotiation side. I'm not trying to create something for you, but I tried to think of very simple things. The next thing is to make sure that the high schools are really continue to be focused on Casey, because even though state testing's been suspended, Casey hasn't.
Right.
So 10th graders doing well on Casey would be a wonderful thing for the school district. I also think making sure that the foundational skills are in place for children, that they're learning numeracy, literacy, and to be good writers. So those are the things I think that are really, really important for the school district.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I did have a question. Any suggestions on Common Core and how it's going to impact the LEA plan?
Well, Common Core is going to implement the is going to impact the LEA plan, and in fact, with the schools that I'm working with, we're working on planning for Common Core. It's a very big planning effort that needs to take place in the district. At this point, we don't know how it will impact the LEA plan because we're operating under No Child Left Behind until reauthorization, because Common Core is not a part of No Child Left Behind. Most people don't realize that, but it's a part of Race to the Top, which is part of the stimulus package.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Gonzalez, you made some great recommendations, especially the implementation of full day in kindergarten and early increased intervention, and but in fairness to the program improvement schools, the AYP is the one that's difficult. It just seems to be a road barrier to getting out of program improvement. Is this something that you see not only in Rialto, but you see it in other school districts?
Yes, it's a very common problem throughout California, although I personally think the threshold's pretty low. It's a 10% improvement. In other words, in order to make your AYP target, you need to reduce the number of non-proficient students by 10%. I think your staff, you have wonderful staff, really, truly wonderful staff, wonderful children, wonderful parents. I think putting your heads together, and again, going back to this great single school plan that Robin MacGyver Brown is doing, of really sharpening your pencils, I think you can do it. I mean, I see just great people. I think maybe just, again, refocusing, maybe just rethinking. Because we all stall, if we've been on weight loss programs, we know how those go sometimes and things like that. So this is a natural occurrence, but you need to be aware of it so the board can consider what actions it wants to take. Certainly you have the staff, you have wonderful children, wonderful communities, so shouldn't be a big problem.
Just as a reminder, we started at 450 on our API. We're at, across the board, probably 750,
Right.
if not higher.
Right.
That's a tremendous increase.
Right,
And
you're at 113 points since it started in 2002, right? So that's great.
And to see that increase, and, I applaud our teachers, our staff for doing a marvelous job. And I just question, when is this going to end? What, another 1,000 points on top of this? Because I know our state superintendent right now, he's at odds with Common Core and Arnie Duncan. And, we're between a rock and hard place. We either do what they say or we get our funding cut. And so I understand you can't bite the hand that feeds you.
Right,
But there is a price to pay when, kids are left behind.
I agree.
And so I just want to keep that in mind, that we care about all our kids. And we got to help find these kids, help them find their way, help them find their passions. Some kids need more time. And, those years when they're tested with the math at age 14, that's that puberty age. That's when, trauma will make these kids nosedive. And there's a very well-known fact that 50% of the households end up in divorce. And when these kids experience divorce, they don't need algebra. They don't need Chaucer. They need somebody to hold them and hug them. So here in Rialto, we take that in consideration. I just want to share that with you.
I agree.
Thank
I don't
you.
have any problem with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Board President, I just would like to ask, I know we were expecting a presentation either during public comments or during presentations. Are we going to do that after we come back from closed session?
Yeah.
Or are we gonna have that presentation done during this open session?
No, after board return back to open sessions, then we're going to do the presentations.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have a public hearing, and we need to move to open. I'll just read a few comments, and then I need a second. So do we have somebody to motion to open public hearing?
Move to open public hearing.
Okay, Ms. O'Kelly. And do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Clerk Martinez. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I'll read what we have for public hearing. Public hearing, Williams Inspection Reports, FY 2012-2013, reference D1.1. Item 2, public hearing pursuant to the requirements of government code and board policy, the district's initial contract reopener, proposal for the 2013-2014 school year submitted by Rialto Unified School District for an agreement between the Communication Workers of America, CWA, and the Rialto Unified School District Board of Education is hereby posted in compliance with the legislative requirements for public notice, reference D 2.1-2. We have a motion to close public hearing. Comments? I didn't have a section here, but I guess, anybody have any comments?
We have to ask if the public has comments.
Okay, I just don't see it here, so we need to, Mohammed, maybe we need to add this to our agenda.
Sure.
But let's go ahead and do that. Would anybody like to speak on what was commented on items 1 and 2? Okay, any board members? Discussion on what was said on 1 and 2?
No.
Okay,
Mr. President, I move that we close public hearing. Second.
okay, so we have a motion by Ms. Gilbert and a second by Ms. O'Kelly. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 5-0, and it's 7:45. Okay, next we have the consent calendar items. All items on the consent calendar will be acted upon in one motion unless pulled by Board of Education members or the superintendent for individual action. Approved consent calendar items reference E through J.
I have an amendment, sir.
Okay,
In the board packet, we received Board Bylaws 9150A, and that has to do with the student board member. Preferential vote by student member, according to board bylaws, is supposed to go before the board. So on item J, page 5, I propose that we move the preferential vote by student board member before the vote by board members.
okay, move it up. Any discussion there?
No.
Comments? Okay.
I think it used to go that way.
All right.
But somehow it's an
And also on
oversight.
M, but
M?
we are,
We're not there yet, but
Correct.
let's go ahead and move that up too. That's on page 6. We'll move up the preferential vote by student board member ahead of board members, okay?
thank you, sir.
Thank you for your leadership. Okay, so we just read,
Consent calendar.
consent calendar. Okay, before we, do we have any pulls?
Yes,
Okay,
H3 and just the R.J. Allen contract.
H3 and, okay. Any others? We still need a motion to accept.
I make a motion to accept items reference E through J of
With-
the consent calendar.
With the exception of H3, just the R.J. Allen, we'll discuss that separately.
Thank you, sir, yes.
Okay, do we have a second?
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
That was supposed
E
to be a
through J.
preferential vote by student board member, wasn't it?
Yeah.
See, it
didn't
comes,
do
out-
the
it comes
student.
at the end, and that's one of the problems that we have there. Okay. Micah? I should have given you the preferential opportunity to vote.
Yes. Thank you. Aye.
Aye? No one's
you,
going to
young
argue with
sir.
you, Micah. We've seen you on that football field. Very good. Okay, let's turn to R.J. Allen, and there is a handout here, and let's give one to our board member, or our student board member, too.
I think I have an extra one here.
Sir, if you would also pass this for his signature.
Okay, this goes to Micah, too.
Pass those up, one of each.
Kelly, is this okay? Okay. To Micah.
What?
The signatures are from Micah.
Oh, Mike, yeah, you need to sign those.
One of each there.
Oh, I have this. This is the same.
Okay. I think we're good to go.
Okay, well, I'm was extremely surprised to see this item on the agenda again. First of all, the item was voted on. It cannot be voted on again. The only person who can bring it back to be voted on again, and there is a process for this, has to be one of the people who voted no. The people who voted no were Edgar and I. Ms. Gilbert abstained. Mr. Ayala does not have the right. It is a Brown Act violation for you to bring this item back for another vote because apparently you did not like the vote. I'm also very concerned that Joanne abstained on this item twice, and the implication is that now she feels ready to vote. Obviously, if it's back on the agenda, you feel you have your 3 votes, and if you know that for a fact, that is yet another Brown Act violation. I can quote the Brown Act to you if you want, but we cannot vote on this tonight. It should not be, cannot be back on the agenda unless Edgar or I bring it back on the agenda.
Any other comments?
I suggest we check with legal on it just to make sure, because either way, it's going to legal, whether it's at this price or much more.
We do
Well,
have
I
another
don't-
option too, because we have a vendor waiting to get paid. And I'm thinking if we do have a Brown Act violation, then we can cure and correct it. You know, here are the invoices, here his fees that are due to him for his services.
I agree, sir.
And all it requires is a vote. And if we are in.
And here is the original board item that was approved. And here are the additional fees he submitted during the month of August when his original contract still is in effect until September 30th, not to exceed $6,000. There has been no board approval of an additional amount to be paid. It would be a gift of public funds, which is illegal if we were to pay this man what he is asking.
That is where I differ, Mr. President. During the board presentation, this session, 2 of us, of the 3, requested further commitment. We committed this board to pay. And I believe we owe it to this person.
I will read what was in the original. Wait a minute, wait. In the
you can't commit.
Majority.
No, you said 2.
There's a
There were 3
5-person
of us.
board.
At
But
that
yeah, we
session,
can't
there were
take, we
3.
didn't take a vote, Mr. Martinez. And it said, consultant will conduct 2 workshops for the Board of Education members. We only had one.
If he would've
When
co-
we discussed the second workshop, it was assuming it's the second one that's already in the contract. We never had another board workshop.
If we would have had another board workshop, it would have cost us another $2,500. And the first one was sketchy. The first one was sketchy. And because not everybody was in favor or appreciated the services.
You know-
I just would like to say that, you know, it's in black and white right here. The contract, the original contract is still in effect until the 30th of September. I understand invoices have been submitted for additional work, but that was not included in the original contract, and there hasn't been an approval to even do that work first. Any contractor knows they don't conduct additional work and then submit invoices later without prior approval.
Well, we should not.
Because they will not get paid.
We
I
should
never
have
got a
stopped them.
report.
We should
What,
have
what are we
stopped them.
paying? What are we going to pay $11,000 for? I never got anything. What was the
You have a
benefit
chance
of
to
this?
vote. You have a chance
What
to
was the
vote.
benefit of this consultation? We had the consultant come at the last board meeting, blasting board members. No report was given. What was the benefit of this service? One
Right.
board meeting, the consultant came to and confused the board even more than what we're already confused as far as parliamentary procedure and Robert's Rules of Orders. And I had a parent come to me after the meeting and said, I've never seen a board run so dysfunctional like it did that day when the consultant was here helping us. And Ms. O'Kelly's right. Only one workshop was conducted. I got the last 15 minutes. I'm sorry I couldn't leave my regular work to come early to the workshop, but I got the last 15 minutes of it. And I don't know, you three were the ones that were there for the whole 4 hours. And, Ms. Gilbert couldn't be here either. And the second workshop is still yet to be completed. So where
Right.
does the additional
And
$6,000
the other
come from?
charges, let me finish reading the original board item. You all can read along with me. Consultant will conduct 2 workshops for Board of Education members. Consultant will also research, review previous board meetings, attend board meetings. I haven't seen him here except like twice. And consult with the Board of Education members. That's what he billed us for again during the month that he did during the month of July. It was part of the original contract.
Okay, any more discussion?
And I just want to
Just gonna
say,
sit here and
we need to
argue?
take Brown Act violations
Fine,
seriously.
Fine, take the Brown Act violation, but if we have to, we'll cure and correct it. But we're going to call for the vote.
If we have to cure and correct it, we will just have to withdraw whatever you guys voted on to pay him.
Well, that's,
There is one solution, and that is to have the second session, since it's still within the contract period.
I would not
That
vote
would-
to pay him $5,500 more
that would
dollars for the
cost
second
20
session.
It would cost $2,500 more.
That's exactly what the contract says that we got him. Ms. O'Kelly says
You know,
$2,500.
$5,500 can buy a
Yes,
lot of desks
understood.
for our students and supplies for our
we
students
don't
and
have to
computers
have-
for our students.
We don't, okay, so we got a cheering section here. Okay.
I don't know about you, but I don't feel like this district has money to just give away to people.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so let's go ahead and read what he's charging. So, normally we don't have to do this, but, okay, so he billed us for one workshop for $2,500. Then he billed us for 3 board meetings for a total of $600. And then that was 3 hours during the board meetings. And then 2 hours for consulting with board members, and then 11 additional hours for research and review for a total of 3,200 on this one.
Research and review for what?
2,500. Well,
He has not been authorized to do
look,
anything.
you've had your chance to speak, ma'am. Oh, this has turned into a Jerry Springer show? I don't think so.
Board members,
Now,
there's no
I
need.
need to finish because people need to hear. So then he submits the 3rd invoice, which he has not been paid for, okay? So we paid him for the other 2. You wouldn't like it if you didn't get paid. So now he has 17 total hours, okay? Additional research, okay, to help the board, okay? That's our consultants. Nobody else's, not teachers, not counselors, for the board. So that came up to a total of $3,400 for all that research he did.
Without board approval.
Excuse me. 1.5 hours meeting and consulting with board members without giving any names for a total of 300. And then another 2 hours with consultation with board members for a total of 400. And then 4.5 hours with consultation on Brown Act and agenda, design, and building. So he helped us with the agenda. 1.5 hours meeting and consulting with board members again for another 300. And then he ends up with 2.5 more hours consulting with board members, which he met individually, and that totals $5,800, which we owe him. So we've had our discussions. We've had your comments.
Board President, if I may.
I'm calling for the vote.
Board President, with all due respect, if I just may comment here.
We've had a lot of comments. You can vote no if you want to.
Board President, with all due respect, I think maybe we need to take a 5-second timeout so we can regain our composure and calmness. I just one more thing.
Always one more thing.
Well, you gave it to me, Board President.
Always one more thing.
You gave me this. Give me a second. Okay,
You know,
since I have the floor,
I'm
excuse me, I
gonna
have the
hit
floor.
this gavel, and I'm tired of one more thing. What we're gonna have here is call for the vote. You have a chance to vote, yay or nay. We've already had our discussions 5 times on this. This has got to stop now.
Excuse me, Board President, you are out of order.
No, you can be
You
taken
are out of order.
You can be taken out of here.
So can you. You gave me this right now. You gave all the board members this packet right here that says that the recruitment of
Time out,
superintendents
time out.
brought.
We're going to have a calmness here.
The-
We're not going to raise our
Okay.
voice.
Okay.
Let's back off for a minute here. Okay. After you're done with this, can we call for the vote?
Yes.
Okay.
You gave us this packet here from the consultant stating that all his accomplishments, one of the accomplishments was that it stated on here, says that he brought Rialto USD superintendent to this district. That's what this says. I think that's a conflict of interest if we have people involved in getting people hired here and then coming back to do work here, and then I didn't want to go there, but my consultation with this consultant, you know what all it was about? Was trying to strong arm me into signing the superintendent's contract. And it's right there, and I have proof. That's what we're going to pay him for? To try to strong arm and bully, intimidate board members into doing what other people
We
want us to do?
all have our opinions, and all you have to do is vote, and we move on. There's no need to get angry. Let's just vote.
I call for the question. Mr. President,
Call for the vote.
I call for the question.
Okay? I need a motion to accept the paying of R.J. Allen. Do
I
we-
motion that
Okay.
we accept paying R.J. Allen.
Okay. Clerk Martinez, do we have a second?
I second the vote.
Okay, Joanne Gilbert. Now, we call board members to vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 3-2.
No.
Works. Okay?
I didn't vote for everybody because it's a Brown Act violation, so please remember that I did not violate the Brown Act.
Okay? Okay, so now we move on to the next item.
Okay.
Page 5K.
Okay.
Okay.
Discussion action.
Okay, we have discussion action items. Action items will be enacted in one motion unless members of the Board of Education request specific items to be discussed. Okay, do we have any pulls?
Before we go on, I think you skipped preferential vote by board member on that last one.
Yes, that's true.
Preferential vote?
He can't vote.
No.
on-
Wait.
He's not allowed to
wait,
vote
wait.
like that.
I don't think he is on,
He's not.
Preferential vote.
I don't believe he is.
Let's
for
not,
the-
let's not put him through that.
No.
Let's not put him, make a, just out of that one.
If there's any question, you can always abstain.
His
Micah.
vote doesn't count anyway.
Exactly.
He said no.
Don't, this is our meeting, Micah, you don't need to get into with the audience, please. Okay, discussion action items, do we have any pulls? We have 1 through 3.
Mr. President, I move to we approve action items K 1 through 3.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Martinez, okay. Discussion? If there's no discussion, then let's get a vote by board members. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. 5-0. Okay,
There was a preferential on that.
there's a preferential on there too? It's in the back.
I don't think it's appropriate, but.
No, it's not. That shouldn't
Yeah,
be.
that shouldn't be on there. Okay.
Mr. Ayala, the student board member not supposed to vote on any discussion action item
Okay. No.
and consent item.
Okay.
So this agenda was put together by the consultant that we.
Please, please,
No.
please. We've gone
He
through
wasn't
that
here.
already. Okay, comments from members of the Board of Education. Are we going to wait or, because we do have to go back into closed session? Or maybe it would be a good idea to wait?
Yeah. I think we all have something to comment on after.
I think we can do it now.
Yeah. Or you can give the board members who want to comment now the right to comment now. The ones that don't, reserve your comments.
Any other discussions there?
No.
Okay, I'm trying to be peaceful here. So let's go ahead and start with comments. If you want to reserve your comment to the end, just, that's a good recommendation, and we can come back. Start with Micah.
So, welcome everybody. Glad to see everybody today. Glad that there's a lot of people show support for our school district. I've heard from previous years that usually these are not that packed, and this looks like a good showing. And I want to thank you guys. And on a different note, there's a football game this Friday at Eisenhower. It's for the city championship. Hope to see a lot of you there. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Short and sweet. Miss Gilbert?
I'll hold my comments till later. Thank you.
Okay. Miss O'Kelly?
Well, I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight and bearing with us through all this. But I'd also like to address a concern that I have. Board bylaw, which I have right here, 9322, states that any board member or member of the public may request that a matter within the jurisdiction of the board be placed on the agenda of a regular meeting. The request shall be submitted in writing at least 1 week before the scheduled meeting date. The board president does not have the right or the authority to keep an item off of the agenda. If the item is within the jurisdiction of the board, in other words, it relates to school business of any kind, it must be on the agenda. Mr. Ayala refused to put Mr. Monte's item on the agenda in September. And even after receiving advice from Mr. Dietrich, telling him the same thing that I just read, that board members and members of the public have the right to place matters on the board agendas, and it would be in your best interest to put it on the agenda. So even after getting legal counsel advice and knowing that this is a board bylaw, when I submitted an item to be put on this particular agenda, it was not put on the agenda. I was not even given the courtesy of a call or an explanation as to why. I was just ignored as if I was nothing. You do not have that power, Mr. Ayala. The only power you have is to determine if the item is under the jurisdiction of the board. Every item Mr. Montes and myself have requested to be on the agenda has been within the jurisdiction of the board. So, Mr. Ayala, you need to stop violating the Brown Act, stop violating our board bylaws, stop violating my rights and Mr. Montes' rights, and stop disrespecting Mr. Montes and myself with your actions. And the next time I want an item on the agenda, I expect it to be there.
Oh, boy. Response, sir? Okay. Clerk Martinez?
That same section 9322 says it is up to the president to set the agenda, and he is supposed to put it on at the appropriate time.
It was not on at all. That's what set the agenda means. What a category does it go under?
No,
He left it off completely.
I'm not done. It means that, is it timely this agenda or some other agenda? Mr. President.
Okay.
I'd like to speak,
Mr. Montes.
Board President, with all due respect. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Buenas noches. Buenas noches. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for being here tonight. I know a lot of people are here specifically for transparency. Because I've been getting a lot of calls from parents and employees and people in the community regarding transparency. And I know it's late. We're going to wrap it up quick and go back into closed session. So as we promised, we are going to report any action taken at a closed session. And I believe we're going to have a summarized presentation by independent investigator hired by this board in regards to some recent events here at the district. I just would like to apologize to Micah and your family. I did not mean to put you in, between a rock and a hard spot, which, is common for a lot of us on this board. But I do, your vote counts to me. Your vote does count. Your preferential vote does matter to me. And so if the agenda was written wrong, that's our fault, not yours. And, I just would like to advise all of the board that we respect Micah as a student board member and his preferential vote, whether it counts or not for the official vote. It's still a vote that he consciously makes and can make and has a right to make as a student board member of this governing body. So I apologize to you again, and please do feel free to I want to thank our staff for providing you with the board bylaws for student board members. And you have rights in those board bylaws, and you're entitled to those rights. So feel free. If there's anything we can do to help you, we're here to do that. I just want to say, sometimes as a board member, I think I speak for all when I say that we got to make tough decisions. We have to make decisions that can impact our communities, our employees, our schools, and those decisions can be positive or they can be negative. And I truly think that nobody on this board wants to make any negative impact with their decisions for the policies and the decisions that we make here. But I will say this: this is nothing. What's been happening in recent months. This ain't anything. It's nothing. I know it can be hard on some people and very tense, and sometimes at one of the board meetings, one of the parents wanted to get up and throw tomatoes at us or something. But I just would like to ask that we keep calm. I respect everyone's point of view, and I think we as the elected officials should lead by example and set the tone for us to try to be calm and collected when we present ourselves. If we expect that from the public and we expect the public to abide by that, we should abide by that ourselves rather than threatening people with throwing them out and whatnot. But again, thank you everyone for coming, and for those of you that got to get home to your families and your kids, we understand, but we will be reporting out of closed session after we adjourn this open session. Thank you. Gracias.
Well, thank you, Mr. Vice President Montes. I wasn't going to say anything, but I will just say something brief. It's not easy being fair, but that's what we stand for up here. We're trying to protect everyone's rights, and that's what makes it difficult. And I know some of you may not have all the facts in front of you, and but there's two sides to every story. And so, we're protecting people's rights, and sometimes our own. We have a right to speak and be heard. And so sometimes it's a little difficult when we don't get that opportunity. So if it does get a little noisy, well, we apologize for that. But I want to tell you that I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you are taking an interest in your community, because that's important to us too. With that being said, we need to adjourn into closed session and finish some unfinished business. And if you care to stay, I'm going to guess it's going to take probably 40 minutes in there. That's how long we're going to be in there. And, one more thing before we adjourn here. We just have a job to do up here. It's not a personal thing. Every one of us have our own style, okay? And it's not like we dislike each other or anything like that. We just have a job to do. So I hope you can appreciate that. Okay, let's see here. Do we have a motion to adjourn to closed session?
So moved.
Okay, Ms. O'Kelly. And do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Vice President Montes. And all in favor?
Preferential.
Aye.
Aye, and preferential vote?
Aye.
Thank you, Mika.
Aye.
The time is 8:15, and we're adjourning to closed session. It is now 9:43. All board members seated. I know you're anxious for a report. I will tell you there's no action that has been taken, but we do have some reports. We're going to start. We have legal who would like to present a statement, and this is Mr. Sims. Would you please proceed?
Thank you, President Ayala. My name is Trevin Sims. I'm a partner with the law firm of Lozano Smith in Los Angeles, and we have been retained to assist the board with the handling of the matters involving the alleged theft of funds from the district. Like the president said, there was no action taken in closed session to report tonight, but obviously from the folks who are in the room, there's vast interest in what the board discussed, the outcome of the report, and so a report is going to be made on that. But on my advice, a very limited report is going to be made. And the reasons for that is because the report implicates a number of issues. It implicates certain personnel, confidential personnel issues, potential litigation issues, and there is a pending criminal investigation. and the district has been working very closely with law enforcement as part of that investigation, and will be providing this information to law enforcement as part of their investigation. But in balancing the interest of the public, obviously, in knowing this information and the outcome of the report with the other interests involved here, my recommendation was that they provide a general overview tonight. That's not to say that there will not be further information provided to the community about the report or the progress of this matter, but I think it's more important that the board be circumspect in what they provide tonight, having for the first time received that information, and us not having a full opportunity to evaluate what's appropriate to release at this point and what's not, again, particularly given the pending investigation. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to the board president.
Next, we have the representative from Stewart Investigative Services, and he's going to give us a short synopsis of what we've been going through here in nutritional services. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Jeff Stewart, CEO of Stewart Investigative Services. On August 7, 2013, Judy Oakes, the accountant for nutritional services, was arrested by the Rialto Police Department and charged with embezzlement. When they arrested Miss Oakes, she had $2,000 packet. She had $2,000, two $2,000 packets of $20 bills in her purse. Also in her purse, they found original deposit slips from August 5th and 6th, 2013, that she switched out of the bank bags when the courier arrived to pick them up. The auditor then began reviewing the initial records in July 2005 to September 2005, then to June 2006 to August 2006. There are approximately 1,277 school days in the time period reviewed, and there was usually a cash deposit every day. Note, the auditor did not track all deposits, just deposits with a discrepancy. So there was a total of 913 deposits reviewed. The documented amount of cash unaccounted for is $1,811,244.26. These are the different denominations of the discrepancies and the frequency in which they were taken. The 8 years we have documented, an average unaccounted dollar amount is approximately $226,405 per year. Therefore, we estimate from 1999 to 2004 the potential loss of $1.3 million in addition to the documented $1.8 million. That calculates a possible total of $3.1 million. I strongly encourage you to implement the recommendations by the forensic auditor so the trust of the community in the school district can be restored.
Well, as you can see, it's a sad moment. Not much to say right now, other than the fact I'm going to give the opportunity to board members to comment on anything that's been said tonight. Ms. O'Kelly?
Well, just thank you all again for staying and waiting, and we will keep you posted as we progress in this investigation. At this time, we can't really say anything more than what you saw up there in the PowerPoint.
Thank you. Next, Ms. Gilbert.
I'd just like to thank Mr. Stewart and his investigative team for doing a thorough investigation audit for us, and the evidence you see for yourself that we have a lot of work to do to clear up this matter. So this is why we really can't talk about it, because the investigation is still ongoing. So I appreciate the fact that you're here tonight to see and to show your interest in what's going on in Rialto School District. And as a board, we will do our best to make sure that this matter is cleared up as soon as possible. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Clerk Martinez.
Thank you, President Ayala. I'd just like to thank the public and the police department, everyone involved in the investigation, for being patient, being thorough. And we've only just begun to make any motion. We've heard the finding tonight, and it's troubling. We cannot make any comment. I reiterate what Ms. O'Kelly said, that it's an ongoing investigation. It's a difficult job up here. And I've said it before, hold our feet to the fire, because, you know, that we're bound and determined to do the right thing. It may take a while, but we're going to do it. And personnel matters, we don't know yet. The president is going to give you a date for a meeting where we're going to meet again, a special meeting, and I will turn it over to him.
Thank you, Clerk Martinez. Next, we have Vice President of the Board, Edgar Montes.
Good evening. Buenas noches. I just would like to thank everybody again for waiting for us, for so late into the evening. Of course, many of us would rather be at home doing something else, but I want to thank the community for your involvement and for the community's pressure, really, to hold our feet to the fire. I am going to comment that, obviously, we have issues that we need to look into and we need to work out. And if it just so happens to be that our house here in Rialto Unified is dirty, we need to clean that house. We're not pointing fingers. We're not blaming anybody. We just got a report from our independent investigator for us to absorb and deliberate and consider moving forward. But we still have to wait, and I encourage the board and the community to wait for all of the investigations to be concluded. We still have the district attorney doing their investigation. We have the county superintendent of schools will be doing their investigation. Rialto PD still has an ongoing investigation. And the board was just notified recently that the California Department of Education is going to be stepping in to do their investigation. So without blaming anyone or passing judgment on anyone, let's wait till we gather all the facts from all the agencies